Yeah, is there any follow-up questions? Okay. The second matter is, this is an update to a homicide. For those unaware, so Jesse Daher was just arrested in that last release, was the suspect in a homicide that occurred in October 2020. And just to quickly rehash that incident, it was October 12, 2020 in the morning when a passerby who had been walking their dog in the area of Churchill Drive and Hay Street noticed what appeared to be a deceased person in the Red River. Emergency personnel responded, recovered the body, and identified him as Mohammed Ahmed, 29-year-old male of Winnipeg. We began an investigation, and it was determined that Ahmed had been murdered at a residence in the Fort Garry area just a number of days earlier. In mid-January, we issued a plea to the public for help with finding Jesse James Daher. We provided a description and his picture. Ultimately, we received a number of tips that we feel helped our investigation, but ultimately didn't lead to his arrest. And then on February 10th, we also issued a second suspect's name and photo, which was Evan Daniel Bill Brightnose Baker, a 21-year-old male of Winnipeg. And Brightnose Baker is described as Indigenous, 5'10", approximately 126 pounds in weight, and has a medium build. He has brown eyes and is believed to have black hair. We considered both males at the time to be wanted, armed and dangerous, and they were both wanted on Canada-wide warrants for second-degree murder, and cautioned the public not to approach them. So ultimately, Daher, we located him yesterday in that incident, but Evan Brightnose Baker is still out there. We believe, a lot like Jesse Daher, there's a strong possibility that he's still in the city of Winnipeg. There is a possibility that he may have left Winnipeg, but we believe that somebody in Winnipeg can provide us with information that will help us. So this is just another plea to the members of the public, anyone that might know Brightnose Baker. Please contact our officers. If you know where he is, please contact 911. If you have additional information that can help with this investigation, we ask that you call our homicide unit at 204-986-6508. You can also provide information anonymously to Crime Stoppers at 204-786-TIPS, and you can be rewarded for that information through Crime Stoppers anonymously. So certainly some incentive in regards to providing the location of Brightnose Baker, whether it's monetary or just the thought of the family of Mohammed Ahmed, who ultimately want closure for this matter. And if there's any questions, I'll take them. Anyone can just ask out of order.
Going back to that October incident, was there believed to be any motive in the death of Mohammed?
Because Brightnose Baker is still outstanding and this investigation hasn't quite closed yet, I'm not able to provide that information. We've previously acknowledged, and we can acknowledge again today, that we believe that all of them were acquaintances and that this homicide, there's involvement in the drug subculture of Winnipeg in this homicide.
Is there any possibility that Brightnose Baker might also have connections with Samard and Monkman, considering Daher was also down with those two?
It's certainly possible, and it's not outside the realm of possibility. But at this time, I feel that that the investigation into what happened on McGee is isolated from this incident, aside from the arrest of Daher. But it's certainly possible that information that we gained from this investigation could help us, but we're reaching out to the public today to help us find Evan Brightnose Baker.
Jay, it's Jonas from City. I'm just going back to Daher's arrest. When it was determined he was in the home, I guess, how did that change the response from police, going from executing a warrant to maybe realizing there was an alleged second-degree murder there?
That's a very good question, and it certainly changed things for us. The beginning of this incident was somewhat normal. A number of people exited the residence. We took one of our suspects into custody, Monkman, without issue. And then soon after, we determined that Daher's inside. We believe that Daher was responsible for not only a homicide, but another shooting incident that occurred in January 2021. Combine that with information that they could be armed with firearms, certainly heightens our response to this matter. We need to ensure the safety of everyone that's still inside that residence, ensure the safety the best we can to those suspects, to our officers and the community. And it can be incredibly tough to do that. You likely have a suspect who feels that very limited in options and knows that if and when they get caught, that they're probably going to go away for some time. So you can imagine the stress of dealing with somebody who might be faced with some desperation and try to safely extract them from a residence when you feel that there's a possibility they could be armed with a firearm. And ultimately, we did locate a firearm in that residence. I think.
That was sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it can be very tough to put yourself in the mindset of the people that are in this house. I mean, it was very obvious that they knew that they were surrounded, that police were there, and I don't know if it's a feeling of wanderlust that they can potentially get past this incident and then take off outside of Winnipeg and avoid police going forward. But once we keyed in that these two individuals remain inside the house, we weren't leaving, and our goal was to bring this to a safe resolution, which is what we were able to do.
Can you speak to what that process is actually eventually coming up with that resolution to I guess, surrender?
Yeah, it's incredibly tough. As I stated earlier, we have a certain amount of liability that's involved if this situation goes south or if it doesn't unfold as we expect it to. So we slow down the process. We're very fortunate that we have a number of tools at our disposal that help us resolve these typically in a safe fashion. That's equipment that our tactical support team has, the armored rescue vehicle, the support of our frontline officers. And we have those options available to us, we're able to use those tools to conclude this without serious incidents, and we're very proud of the way that this unfolded.
I just have one other question, Kate, following with CBC here. The shooting incident that Daher is also connected to in January of this year, was that something that you released on, or can you tell me a bit more about that incident?
Yeah, I don't know if we released on it. My understanding of the incident, it was a female acquaintance of his that was shot with what I believe was a pellet gun, but the pellet caused serious damage to this person, or serious injury to this person, and I believe that there's still lasting effects from that injury. So not something that I believe we released on, but still nonetheless a very serious incident, and one that we believe has some relation to the homicide in the first place.
Jay Jonas from City, just one on Daher here. This sounds like he was, I don't know if there's like a Winnipeg's Most Wanted, but I mean, this guy, it sounds like he was at risk, or, you know, a general risk to the public, and a guy that needed to be off the street.
Absolutely. This is one of the reasons why we pled to the public twice, both in the middle of January and on February 10th, to help us with finding this individual. This individual, we feel, demonstrated that he was capable of not only a homicide, but that shooting, and certainly somebody that we needed to get off the street. And that's another reason why you saw the response that we undertook on McGee yesterday. Quite a heavy response, but it was, I believe, one of the primary motives behind that was to safely take this person into custody. All right, any other questions on this matter? All right, the last matter I'll talk about today is it's a pair of arrests in a robbery, and I think out of the three incidents that we're going to talk about today, this might be one that seems to resonate with the community, and you'll see why in a few seconds. On February 26, 2021 at 10:38 p.m., East District General Patrol officers responded to the area of Meadowwood Drive and St. Anne's Road for the report that two people were seen seriously assaulting an adult female. Upon arrival, officers located an injured 47-year-old female. The victim was transported to hospital in stable condition, and I believe that victim remained in the hospital at least overnight due to the severity of her injuries and may likely still be there at this time. A female suspect was found attempting to leave the immediate area and was taken into custody. With the help of our canine unit, two additional suspects, a male and female, were tracked to Richfield, I said venue, but I think it's Avenue, and St. Anne's Road, where they were taken into custody as well. Members of the Major Crimes Unit continued with that investigation, and it's believed that the victim had been walking in the area when she was approached by the two young females and asked for money. When the victim declined, the two pushed her to the ground and attempted to steal her purse, dragging her a short distance. She was then aggressively assaulted. A male bystander observed the attack and intervened, pulling one of the suspects from the victim before they fled. A 14-year-old female and a 15-year-old female, both of Winnipeg, have been charged with robbery, assault caused bodily harm, overcome resistance by attempting to choke, suffocate, or strangle another person, and possession or consumption of liquor by a minor, and that's under the Liquor, Gaming, and Cannabis Control Act, and they were detained in custody. The male, 19, was released without charges. And just to proactively try to answer a question I think that will be asked is, we believe that they had consumed alcohol. I don't know if they were in possession at the time of their arrest, but we certainly believe that they had consumed alcohol prior to this incident. And I'll take any questions, again, out of order. I think that works better, if there's any.
Is this a rare incident, Chair?
It is. The vast majority of violent crime that happens in Winnipeg is usually between people that know each other. That's the reality. It's usually between acquaintances, between rival gang members, groups that are disputing. But it is somewhat rare for us to see true random robberies like this. They do happen, and they're extremely concerning when they do happen. I think most of us, if not all of us, would like to be able to walk without this incident happening to them. In this case, this female had just disembarked the bus and was on her way to work when she was attacked. So I think this is a crime that's going to resonate with the community, especially those that live in the area, and it's very disturbing, especially given the ages of the suspects involved.
Can you tell us anything about the bystander that was there and how he came upon what was happening?
I don't have a lot of information as to his role. I do know that concurrently to that male pulling one of the suspects off the victim, a 911 call was placed from somebody who observed this assault, and that helped us get to understand what was happening. We responded very quickly, and almost at the same time that we provided medical aid to this injured female, we were able to take one of the suspects into custody in that area as they attempted to leave.
Were there any weapons involved in this incident?
I don't believe so. I believe this would constitute what we call a strong arm robbery. So I don't understand. My understanding of the incident is that there was no weapons. It was all physical force that was used on this female.
How concerning is it knowing that two people aged 14 and 15 were involved in such an incident like this?
It adds an element of concern to this matter. On the surface, anytime you see a random innocent victim anytime you see a random bystander individual become the victim of a robbery, it's troubling. When you add the ages, it becomes extremely concerning. You have to wonder why these two individuals were out at the hour that they were, why that they had consumed alcohol. I mean, they're both fairly young. I think there's a lot of questions to be asked in this incident, and there's going to probably be a lot of different feelings towards, you're going to see some people that are very angry with these two suspects. I think some people might show a little more compassion, understand that maybe a tough upbringing might have resulted in this. So there's going to be a vast variety of, I think, emotions that we'll probably see once this hits social media, and I think they're all fair emotions, but I think it all comes down to it being a very shocking incident, especially to see the ages of these two females.
One other question here, it's Holly from CBC.
Yeah.
The male that was released without charges, why is that?
So he was with the he was with the two females at the time of the incident, but didn't take part in the assault at all. And I believe that our investigation determined he likely didn't know what was going to happen. When I say he was in the immediate area, he was nearby, but wasn't actually part of that assault itself. So there was nothing for us to charge this individual with. So. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you for coming. I apologize for some of the spelling errors and grammar errors in that release. It's just a one-man show today, but I'm glad I was able to get this information out for you. Thank you.